Hey, what's up everybody? Chris M. Walker from Legiit and Superstar SEO here. In my Profit Academy program, which is a free newsletter slash community that I have, if you want to check it out, it's in the description. We've been talking about starting a case study or a series or whatever you want to call it, a whole new online business that we can start on our own and make some somewhat passive income with it. And we're going to do it, create the whole series, including, figuring out what we're going to sell, who we're going to sell to, how to start making some money with it, the traffic, everything. We're going to start it from scratch and go over the shoulder as we get into it. So it's something I'm going to be doing in my Profit Academy program. This first couple videos will be here on YouTube, and then just subscribe to that. It's totally free if you want to catch the rest of it. I think it's going to be fun. I have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do, but I'm going to, in this video, going to walk you through kind of the things that we need to look at and kind of the thought process behind it as if you're going to start one of these on your own. So that way you kind of have like the whole concept behind it as well. So let's jump into the computer and get started on that. And I hope you enjoy this. I hope you'll subscribe, and we'll talk in just a second. What's up guys, we're here in my computer and I don't have anything too fancy for this. We're just going to kind of walk through what you can expect from upcoming videos, and I'm going to try to do 2 or 3 of these a week depending on the particular task and how things go. But this is kind of going to be the outline for what we're going to do. So when you build a business online or otherwise, you need a few things. You need to have an audience, meaning people that are interested in what you talk about, what you offer, things like that. There needs to be someone that's willing to spend money for it. So there needs to be an audience. You need to have a product or service. I mean, that probably goes without saying. You have to have something to sell, basically. And you need to have a traffic source. So you need to have a way to get the audience that exists to your product or service. And then you need a sales process, basically a way to take money from them in exchange for the product or service that you offer. So those are kind of the 4 things you have to have for any business, online or otherwise. And we're going to dive into each of those in this video just a little bit so we can kind of be on the same page for where we're going. So the first thing we need to talk about is the audience. So there needs to be a group of people, and they have to have something that they are passionate about or need. So an example would be something like a weight loss product. There's definitely people that are passionate about losing weight or helping other people lose weight. They spend money on things like that, whether it's pills or whether it's a program or a gym or an exercise machine or a course or whatever. There has to be something that they have to be willing to spend money. And the reason I put that bullet there is that you can create lots and lots of traffic and engagement and stuff like that with memes, but that doesn't mean that they're willing to pay. So there needs to be a passionate group of people that are willing to buy something, and there needs to be something to sell them. So some audiences don't have, I have a couple sites that I didn't really think through in the early days that I had got tons of rankings and traffic for, but I had no idea how to monetize them other than like AdSense. So there needs to be a product or service to sell to that audience. Those are kind of the 3 components of an audience. I'm bothered that that bullet is off, so forgive me for that. But those are kind of the 3 components that you have to have. So when we go into our audience, finding our audience, which will probably be the first video after this one, those are the things that we're going to look for. The next thing that you need for any type of business like this is a product or service. I kind of covered that in the last thing, but you need to have a product or service, and there needs to be a product or service that either solves a problem or fulfills a desire. A service or a product that solves a problem is, say, a piece of software that automates a task for them or lets them complete a task. A product that fulfills a desire would be like cat socks or whatever, something that you absolutely do not need, but you want, basically something that's not utilitarian at all, something that's just for fun or something that you want but you're passionate about. It needs to be scalable, meaning what I mean by that is there certain service, well really almost any service is tough to scale because you have to actually do the fulfillment and each one is going to be unique. So there needs to be, for what we're going to do, there needs to be a product or service that we can scale to where we sell lots of them without increasing the workload or overhead or anything like that, which kind of dives into the next one, meaning it needs to be easily fulfilled. So if it takes, hours or weeks or months to fulfill a particular service or anything like that, it's not going to be easy to scale because it's not easily fulfilled. And then you want to make sure that there are multiple products or offers or potential for them if you're going to create them yourself, because you don't want to get pigeonholed into one product or service because things can change. over time. And you may end up with a business that generates traffic and it has an audience, but you don't have anything to sell them because that product stopped working or it went away or whatever. So those are kind of the things you need to consider for a product or service. And that's what we'll be considering as we choose our product or service in an upcoming video. The next thing is a traffic source. So does your audience hang out there? So for example, if you have like an e-commerce product and it's like, I don't know, Batman t-shirts or something, LinkedIn is probably not going to be your traffic source. That's kind of I think a good example is if you have like a hobby type passion niche as your audience and your product, then LinkedIn's not going to be your traffic source. So something like that. The audience and the traffic source need to match as well as the product. So how quick can you turn it on and start collecting data? So one of the keys to scaling an online business or really any business is having information about what works and what doesn't, and then how much you can scale it up and continue to have success with it. So the reason I bring this up is a lot of the people watching this probably come from an SEO background, and SEO really isn't great for this. It takes longer and the data is a little harder to track. So we probably won't be using SEO as our traffic source, but we'll examine what's available depending upon the decisions we make in the audience and the product and the service and things like that. And are there any restrictions? So if you have like crypto or Forex or anything like that, then it's going to be very tough to run paid traffic because they're very restricted. Kind of the same with weight loss, to be perfectly honest, unless you're running like a physical product. So those are things you want to consider. You don't want to get stuck with a product that you can't sell to your particular traffic source. So when we do the traffic source video, that's what we'll be doing, or that's the things that we'll be analyzing as well. And then finally, you have to have a sales process, right? You have to have some way for people to give you money, or else this is all kind of pointless. They need to fill out a form, or it's like an e-commerce where they just purchase it right there online. They put in their credit card and it gets shipped to their house or their office. It may be a subscription or / continuity type product where they pay monthly for, maybe it's a skincare product they get every month. Maybe it's a digital product they get every month, but there needs to be a subscription, or maybe it's a higher end thing where they actually have to book a call with you or your sales team or whoever to sell them on the phone or on Zoom or whatever, Skype. So those are kind of the things that we'll examine when we decide on the sales product or the sales process for our business. So that's kind of it. If we want to just quickly recap that, we're going to talk about how an audience, and I'm going to build out all these steps. This is just kind of like the 50,000 foot overview, and we're going to go through everything together until we get this going. But we're going to choose an audience based on these criteria. Then we're going to create or find an existing product or service to sell to that audience that meets these criteria. Then we're going to figure out what traffic source fits the product, service, and audience. And then we're going to figure out how we're going to sell them stuff, and if they're going to pay once, if they're going to get shipped to them or whatever. So I'm looking really forward to doing this. I think it's going to be fun. It'll give me something to put on YouTube at a regular interval as well. And I think it'll really attract a lot of people. So if you want to watch the whole thing, like the first few videos will be here on YouTube, but it's going to be mostly for my Profit Academy Daily program, which is totally free. You can sign up at profitacademydaily.com, get newsletter, access to me, Facebook group, all sorts of goodies for completely free. So I hope you'll enjoy that. I hope that if you have any questions, you'll ask them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be out very soon. Thank you.